Hi, it's Jack Downs here with a video lesson to accompany my email and many attachments for Monday, February 2nd. I'm not in class in person, I'm afraid. We'll be available via email if you have problems or questions, and I'll see you back in class on Wednesday. So this is a required video and email and online like lesson. And let's go ahead and do a regular class. Here we go. I'm in the Brightspace site, and as usual, I'm going to go to our daily schedule. And when I do that, I see that Monday the 2nd, there it is. Of course, you can just follow along on your own if you want to. It says, special note, states that this is a video online class. Topic is creating a basic page. It says, bring textbook to class today and Wednesday. Well, you're going to see that most of this exercise that it's going to be called the black goose exercise, which is an exercise you need to do, but not for credit. But you have to complete it first and have that file made for future use, and also because then you'll have the skills you need to make the real assignment, which will be graded. So you're going to have to essentially show me that you completed this assignment, and also the process for how we're going to upload assignments from here on out. Okay, so that's what's going on here, and what I'm doing, I'm suggesting that you read chapter 4. Because that was for this class, you were to have read chapter 4. You were to, which is very important beginning, which is this stuff, creating a basic page. There's a quiz on Wednesday on the introductory terms in the basic anatomy of a website. So basic anatomy of a website I did last class. All right. That would be in Friday's class. So you essentially will need to be able to, well, let me tell you what's on the quiz. Let's do that right now. And by the way, remember, you may use an index card on the quiz. We're talking about regular 4x6 index cards, right? 4x6 index cards. I handed them out in class. You may use one on the quiz. On all my quizzes, you may use one index card, handwritten notes on it, anything you want that will be helpful. I suggest you do use it. Just preparing it will help you to study. Did you not get index cards? Did you lose your index cards? Well, you can pick up index cards on my office door also. So you have your index card. What are you going to put on your index card for the quiz? This is a quiz on Wednesday in class. I'm going to ask you some of the basic stuff from the definitions handout I gave you in class 2. It'll be like, what does HTML stand for? What do we do with it? Of course, we do structure with it. What does CSS stand for? What are some specific things we control with CSS? Yes, CSS is for presentation as opposed to structure, but specifically we do things like color, font, layout, margins, text styling of all different kinds, the way that photos look and work in with the text and so on. So, those are specific things. What does URL stand for? What is an IP address? What does it represent? And I'll give you a URL, a long URL, and ask you what the parts of it are. That was in that handout too, and also to define them. So be prepared to do that. I'm also going to ask you to write out the minimum basic required structure of an HTML5 document. These days we tend to just to say of an HTML document because we don't even use the word number 5 so much anymore. It's just because it is HTML now. I'm also going to give you a couple of little clips of some code, some HTML with some errors in it. So that will help you if you know the basic structure. That'll help you to identify and fix the errors, right? And that's going to be about it for the quiz. So that's what you put on your index card. What was also due this class was the cover letter assignment, which was, remember, that was just like a Word document, not in HTML. That was due this class, the cover letter assignment. Also, what's due this class is the basic welcome HTML assignment, which was really just doing a very basic HTML page, HTML only, no CSS, and submitting that as its own just HTML document on Brightspace to get you used to the initial required structure of a page. And what to do next class? Well, on Wednesday I said there's a quiz, and then you should be working in the Black Goose exercise. Your goal will be to either finish it today, finish it. You'll have time on Wednesday after the quiz to show me you have finished it and to finish it, or to get help with it, or whatever. That will be what will happen. That's what's going to be the quiz. And then, did you do that Black Goose? Or if not, well, finish it now. But you really want to be able to show me it, because you're going to get the new assignment, the cover letter 2, which is using that Black Goose kind of structure over again. Okay, that's the schedule where we're at. You can always pay attention to it there. So let me see, what am I supposed to do with you next? Let me just pause this for a moment. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's continue. Sorry for the interruption. I'm going to talk briefly about naming files and folders. I may have already talked about this in class, but maybe not. It's still an important topic. I'll just quickly go over it, and you have a handout. All these handouts are available on Brightspace also. And the handout is called Naming Files and Folders. Just be it known, please take it seriously, the fact that knowing what things are called, knowing the real names of them, and knowing where they are is critical to this class. It's critical to the web in general. If something is spelled slightly differently or wrong, or it's not in the right folder it's supposed to be, it's not going to work. So that's why we have all these rules. Some of them are just kind of tradition and helps make things easier for you if you stick with them. Some of them are truly going to make things break. In general, you can read through this document, which is attached. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, except just to say, here's the rules. Don't use capital letters in file names or folder names, all lowercase. No special characters in file names or folder names, files and folders, like no ampersands or dollar signs or percent symbols or anything like that, exclamation points. No spaces in file names or folder names. Use an underscore or a hyphen to indicate a space. Having a space idea, like an underscore or hyphen, is a good thing because it helps you to read it better as opposed to just having all the words jammed together. But no spaces. Other than that, you'll see a note here about showing file extensions. And that is something that may be a little strange at first. But it is very true that most operating systems, out of the box, Mac and also Windows, if you go to look at your files, they are hiding your file extensions. So if I bring up on my computer window, File Explorer window, and I go to look at a bunch of files, and I go into here, I will see DOCX, MP4, PDF, and so on. I see the file extensions. If you do this on your own computer and you don't see them, there's a problem. Depending on what operating system you have, Macs are different. But if you're dealing with Windows 11, it's really quite easy to go to View, Show, and click on File Name Extensions. What's the big deal? Why do we care? Well, let's imagine that I tell you to name something index.html. And you look at the file and it's just called index, so you add HTML afterwards. But you don't realize that .html was already there, but hidden from you. Now the file name is index.html.html. Which means it's not the same file name, which means it's not going to work. So file names and folders are very important. Okay, now let's look at another thing, another basic organizational thing. This is the issue of how I'm going to suggest you arrange your projects. A project for me is just a little homework assignment. But the key thing is you want to have things in folders that make sense. And in the end, you want to have what we call a root folder, which is the folder that contains the website, which might just be one HTML document, or it might be an HTML document in one image, or maybe also a CSS document, and maybe a bunch of other things too. But it's the stuff that's all on the website, and it's critically important that nothing else be in that folder. That the other stuff you use to make the website, like original photos that you later edited and then saved to use, or Word documents, or whatever, stuff you used to make the website, but not the things that are really on the website, those be kept separate. So I'm suggesting this system where you have a project folder, which you're going to rename to be the name of the project, some homework name. blackgoose. It's going to be our first one. And then you're going to have a originals folder, or call it what you want. I don't know the name of the project folder, although I suggest you stick to our same naming rules. I don't know what you call the originals folder, but I will know what you call the root folder. We call it a root folder. You will always rename it to be something else, because we don't want the word root in there. And what's going to go in there is the actual website. So this idea of a structure, overall folder, 2 subfolders, this was the one that you're going to submit for a grade. You're going to zip and submit. From now on, almost everything you submit to me will be a zipped folder. That's what we have to do on the web. Okay, so that structure. Now let's take, you could just remake that every time you have a homework assignment, but why would you want to do that? Instead, why don't you just make a project folder containing the stuff that you're going to have almost always have, and then just copy it each time you want to use it. And make a new one and make a new one. Make a generic base thing to start with. That's how I would do it, and that's how I do it. And let me suggest you do it that way also. So I'm going to go to a drive somewhere. That's not the right place at all. I'm going to go into my 317 folder. Okay, good. I have a lot of subfolders here. Please ignore that. I'm going to do over here in the white area, I'm going to make a new folder. Right-click, new folder. Windows, easy way to do it. Yes, you can find it under a menu also, under new. There, either way. New folder. And I'm going to call this new folder. It's way down there. It's hard for you to see, right? Let's try to bring that up a little bit. I'm going to call this new folder, which is called new folder. Not very helpful. I'm going to do a right click on it, and I'm going to choose rename, and I'm going to call it project. Good. It says I already have it for the project. Okay, all right. I'm going to say, I got too many folders in here. I'm going to call it project 26 for 2026. Good. Okay, that's safe. I'm going to open it up. In the project folder, I can tell I'm in the project folder because I look at my address bar up here and it says project. That's where I am, right? I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it originals. Good. And I make another new folder, and I'm going to call it root. That's going to be the website. All right, those are all the folders you need. What goes in the root folder? At this moment, there's only one thing I think you should put in the root folder. I'm going to open it up, and in here, I think there should be what I would call a blank or start. You call it what you want. It's an HTML document, which has just got the basic structure in there. When you should, at this point, be starting to learn the basic HTML structure. I have one somewhere already, which is called blank. What do I call it? Where is it? I thought I made a new. Yeah, blank 26. I'm going to copy that file. I'll show you what's in it so you can make your own, or remind you about how to make your own. Where did I put that thing? Oh, yeah, it's right. It's in this folder. It's in the root folder. I can tell I'm in the root folder because it says root right there, right? I put in here a copy of my blank 26. What's in my blank 26? Let me edit that in HTML. Edit in Notepad++. You'll see that it is a doc type, as we should have. It's got an HTML and a closing HTML. The HTML has the attribute of language. Good, that's required. It's got a head, which is a Medicare set, and a title, which has got blank text in there. It's got a body, which has got an H1 and a P. And if you knew you always did a bunch of other elements in there, you could have those in there also. But that's kind of what you need. It's true that the H1 and the P are not required, and the text inside the title element is not required, but you might as well put them in there. So this is the blank document. So what does this mean? So what I'm suggesting is, I'll close that up. You got homework to do. You've got this blackgoose to do. What are you going to do? Go to your folder where you have all your stuff. It's my folder. Go find your project. Mine's project 26, right? I'm going to copy that. Over here, I'm going to click and do a paste. It's going to give me a copy of that. It's called copy. Already, the file names it wants to make are violating some of our rules. We change it. Now I know what the name of the homework is going to be. It's going to be called blackgoose. Good. And I probably have some other blackgoose that's going to complain. Oh, good. I didn't have another one. And then in here, my originals folder, what am I going to put in there? I'm going to download the TXT file that's required for this assignment into there. And I can go back here, Remember, I can go forwards and back on this address bar. And in the root folder, it's got a blank, and I'm going to notice that I'm going to want to rename that. And the renaming is going to be something like Goose or Black Goose Jack. All lowercase, no spaces, hyphens or underscores instead of spaces. And that's the document where I'm going to work in. And I'm going to need to go get an image document. There's an image on this page, and I'm going to stick that in there too. So that will get you started on the project. Now, that idea of the folder structure and how it looks and the stuff that goes in them, let's look at the assignment now, and you'll see how I kind of write that at the top of the assignment. Here's the Black Goose Bistro exercise, which is actually an exercise from your textbook. And it says, structure, project folder, Black Goose. Whatever, hyphen or not, doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not really particular about the names of these things, except that they follow our rules. Resource folder, originals, that's what I call it, originals, you call it what you want, resources, whatever. I download the txt file into there. What txt file? We'll see that in a minute. Root folder, Black Goose in your name. I did mine Black Goose Jack. Well, that's good. Inside there is the Black Goose your name.html. Okay. And then you're going to download the PNG image file here. All right. Then it says follow the instructions. Well, let's do that much here and see where we're at. Where do we get this stuff? Reminder, in Brightspace. In Brightspace, you go to handouts and resources, and you scroll down through the handouts to the link to the Google Drive, and you go to resources for assignments, and there we have Black Goose text and image. Don't download the whole folder. Open it up, and you're going to download the PNG. I can click the download button, and the TXT. PNG is an image. TXT is the text, actually. Those are going to be in my download folder. Okay, good. And I don't have much, fortunately these days, I don't have much choice about where they go. They're just sitting there. I'm not going to double click on them. I'm just going to copy them, and I'm going to go put them in my other folders. They don't both go in the same folder, though, I'm afraid. Black Goose, yeah, okay. This is my Black Goose. Oh, I need to change the... Did I not change this one? Yeah, I didn't. I didn't change it. The root is not supposed to be called root. It's supposed to be called... What did I say? Yeah. Something like that. Whatever. Okay, good. I'm going to go to my originals. I'm going to paste this in here. Paste both these in here. But they don't both go here. Do you remember? My text file does, but my image does not. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go back to my Black Goose and back into my root folder, which is now called the name of the actual website, which is a vast website of 2 files. So that's what you got to end up with. And you're going to be tempted to do some things like save copies of files, have multiple copies of files, copy folders over multiple times and stuff. You're worried you're going to lose things and so on. Wow, you're going to get mixed up about what file you're really supposed to be working in and where it is. So I would say just make one copy of the thing and take care of it. It should be on your drive, actually. You can work on this stuff on your drive. A lot safer on your drive. Then when you go to work someplace, if you want to work on a hard drive or a desktop or something, fine. But put it on your drive. For right now, you can just be using the download folder and make a folder there or something if you don't have your drive yet. But you really need your drive very soon because you don't want to do all this work and then leave it on the computer and then have it lost. And it doesn't work as well through Google Drive, although you can try if you want. If you have access to the communications department's shared drive space thing, you could try using that. I don't have that for this class at this time. Okay, that's a tangent. All right, so what do we got here? These documents. So, and you would go into, I'm going to go back to Black Goose, you go into the originals, you go in the text file, and now I would double click on this. And it would open up in a program like plain old Notepad. I would select all this text and go paste it into my HTML document, my blank document, and then start to work on it based on the instructions. What instructions? Well, it tells you in the assignment, follow the instructions from class. It means you have to use my file, not the one provided by the textbook, which is practically the same, but a little different, and I will know. In pages 55 through 68, in particular, see exercise lists there listed 4.2 through 4.5. But you must use the TXT file supplied by me. Good. When you're done, you're going to zip it and so on. And I'll talk about zipping in just a minute. Okay, so I am going to skip ahead and show you a semi-completed one and where you're going to go based on the instructions. I'm going to show you that. I probably should pause it. Okay, so here's my blackgoose 26 folder. And my originals are still there. It's got the text file there, and I copied that stuff in there. There's more things here than you have. You should only have 2 files in this folder. I've got others, so ignore that fact. For instance, one of them says blackgoose downs raw, and I'm going to show you that. When you first paste it in, it's going to look sort of like this. Let's pick that up here. So I pasted it in the body. This is where the text is going to go, right? But at the moment, it's just one blob of text. But you started with your blank file, and you know that's where it's going to go, but it's going to have to be worked on, right? Okay, so, and you're going to use the instructions and read around the chapter around the instructions to help you do it. So what would it look like right now? Well, I can show you. View current file in Chrome. This is what it looks like right now. It's just a big run-on sentence, really, because there's no structure. That's all it is the text, with no styling either. Okay, good. All right, so that's what we're going to have to deal with. How are we going to deal with that? Well, you're going to use the instructions. Whoops, there it is. And you're going to first you're going to do all the tagging of the H1 and the H2 and the paragraph and so on. You're going to, as instructed there, and you're going to end up with something like this. And the key thing is not to quickly try to pause and look exactly what I did and copy it. The key thing is to know how it works and to try it yourself. Please. Okay. So at this point, nothing much has changed except in the title. I actually typed in here Black Goose Bistro. And down here, it also says Black Goose Bistro from the H1. The H1 and the title can be the same. Sometimes they are, usually not in real life, of course. In this case, they could be if you wish. I don't recall if she says to do something different with the title than the H1. You'll see in the instructions. Okay, good. And you'll see I have an image in here just before the H1. You'll see I have a header around this stuff. A header tag, a header element. These are called elements. These 2-part tags are elements. You'll see there's an H2, an H2, an H2. Some people get confused about that. They think, well, I need an H1 for my main heading. Every page has to have one. Good. I did an H2 for my first heading. After that, yes, H2, that makes sense. And they say, well, I have to do an H3 now. No, 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 no. You can have a number of things at the same level heading, but you just never would go from an H1 to an H4 or something. You always have to hit the levels. You may only have H1s and H2s. Well, one H1 and then H2s from there. And that's the case in this document here. And you'll see I have got a paragraph. You've got another paragraph. I've got an EM in there. I think I'm supposed to add a strong in there. If so, you can add a strong in there. I also added, I don't remember, we'll look in the instructions. Did I ask you to make a comment? I think it'd be a good thing to practice making a comment in there. And then you've got another paragraph which has got BRs in it. The comment reminds you, don't overuse the BR elements. You don't use BRs, which is line breaks. Don't use them to fake paragraphs. All right? And the paragraphs, where the paragraphs break is going to depend on the width of your screen. So my paragraph breaks won't be your paragraph breaks necessarily. So this is without CSS. You see I have a style element in here in the head, a style element which is empty right now. The style element is not a required element, but we will be using it in just a minute, and in your instructions it will explain it too. So let's view this. By the way, notice that right now this tab is blue, but if I make a change, it turns red, right? It was red, it means that it needs to be saved. I didn't want to make that change though. But I'll back up. I'll still just do a Control S, regular save. Because when you go to View from Notepad++, and this is the same for many code editors, you're only going to get to see what is your last save. So if you don't see anything, it could be because you didn't save the file. And do notice that I can see that I've got all this color coding on here, and that is because, of course, I should have showed you this in the blank document. I will. Do I have a blank up? I still do. notice in my document, if you're typing along and you ever see something that looks like, oh, I just want to do that language. Let's remove that. I won't remove it. That's right. Let's make a new one. I'm going to copy all this stuff. I'll just go File, New, and paste this in. If you ever see a document that looks like this, just plain without any color coding or whatever, that means the language was not set. Remember, we always have to do a language, HTML, or CSS, and that knows which language it's looking at. Some code editors require you to save it, save something, and then save it with an extension, which gives it that, and then it knows the language. In Notepad++, you set the language. Okay, where were we? I did this stuff, right? Yes, and now this is what it's going to look like now, because I did a save. That was the thing. Okay, I've got my image. I've got my headings, 2 different levels of headings. I've got 1, 2, 3 paragraphs. I've got an EM, which is giving me that italic look there, which that's not the reason for it. It's EM means as said with emphasis. I could do a strong. Did I ask you to do a strong? I don't know, but I'm going to say in a trendy. I'm going to say hip, trendy, and comfortable is going to be the strong. Open strong, close strong. Good. I'll save that. In case I ask you to do a strong also. I don't remember. And you can choose which things you think should be listed as strong or not, whatnot. Hold on just a minute, I'm sorry. There. So let's view that. Again. Oops. I'm viewing it someplace else. It's not supposed to be over there. There. So that's what it looks like right now. It's now this thing I made strong is bold, but we don't do strong to bold. We use strong because it means important. We don't do EM to italicize. We use EM because it means as said with emphasis. And we want to just bold, just italicize, which is usually what we want to do. In the future, we'll do that with CSS. All right. So there you go through all that, and you'll end up with a file that's something like this, right? And you have to make sure the image works and so on. And do notice that my SRC is just the name of the image. Whatever you actually named it, if it changed the name on the download, then you're going to rename the image. They have to match. Whenever an image doesn't appear, which is a very common kind of error, there's really almost always only two options. One of them is it's named something different. You didn't name it something different, but somehow the name is something different. Or you misspelled it in the HTML. It doesn't match up. Or it's not where it's supposed to be. You think it's in the folder, but it's not in the folder. If you just use the name of the image, it has to be in the folder. Okay. Finally, sort of finally, maybe not finally, we're going to go to the completed file. So now you add the CSS here, right? And we'll edit that with Notepad++ again. And we're going to, I see now I have the style section has stuff in it here, including, this is a CSS comment. See how it's different than an HTML comment. It's in the CSS section, or it would be in a CSS document that is linked, which is what we saw in the kitchen.html, the Jen's kitchen plate thing, right? And this is actually another commented out thing, which is interesting. Maybe I should show you that. Don't know why it's there, except to show you, I guess. But the HTML hasn't changed. We just added the CSS on top of it. Okay, we did this as an internal style sheet, we would call this, which is a style element, which is what we do when we're practicing and teaching, but in the real world, we generally put these things in a different document outside. External style sheet, we'll get to that later. And then we make a link between them. So let's view this. View current file in Chrome. If you're watching any old videos that I make, sometimes I would go run in the browser, like a run command. But now with updates to Notepad++, we generally do view current file in browser. And this is what it looks like now. This is what we got. We got margins, we've got colors, we've got 2 different colors, 3 different colors, colors on text, colors on backgrounds. We've got an image. The image is centered now. So that is the document that you ended up with. Okay, so you got this document all done. Good job. What do you do with it? Well, now we go back to the instructions, and there's something about, oh no, the instructions were right there. Let's get rid of that thing, and get rid of that thing, get rid of that thing. And let's take a look at naming files. No, this was the assignment. It says you do all that stuff. Now it says zipping files will allow you to compress a folder of any number of files. It turns a folder into a file. All right. So here's how you do it on Windows. You got a Mac. It's similar, a little different. You have to learn it yourself. But and by the way, there's a Notepad++ tips here. Oh, did you notice right here? I'm seeing the end of this file. If you ever don't see the end of the file, it looks like this, and you'll find yourself scrolling over to it. That means you need to turn word wrap on. You can find it different places under menus. Here's word wrap in the toolbar. Okay, good. But let's talk about zipping. Yeah. So let's imagine that I have this folder here called blackgoose jack, and that is my completed assignment. It should only have 2 files inside of it. Mine had more, but you can ignore that. So this is the thing I have to submit. Do I submit the originals folder? No. Do I submit the entire blackgoose 26 folder? No. I don't want to see those. I only want you to zip and submit the root folder, which is this folder here. How do I do that? Right-click. There are zipping programs, and you may have one and stuff like 7-zip and WinZip or other ones too. Not necessary. I prefer not to use them. I like to just send to compressed zipped folders. Right-click, send to compressed zip folders. What happened is it made a new folder, I made a new file, which is the compressed folder. It gave it a name based on the original, which is fine, and it added a .zip afterwards. And you'll see that the icon next to it looked again. Now, some of you at this point are going to go into that folder and try to see if everything's there properly and so on, and then see if it works right. It's not going to work right. Once something is zipped, it won't work right until it gets unzipped. So if it was okay originally, it will be okay afterwards. But this is the file that you have to go stick onto Brightspace to fulfill the assignment. And this process of zipping a completed root folder and then filing up into Brightspace will be something you repeat frequently. I think that's close to the end of the session, but let me check my notes. I'll get back to you. Okay, yes. So just a reminder, prepare for your quiz with an index card, taking notes on it to bring to the quiz and use during the quiz. Don't have an index card? Get one off my office door. Work on the blackgoose assignment. There is a Dropbox to submit it, but you'll see the grade for it. There's no grade added in to the average for it. You have to show me that you completed it and that you actually zipped a folder and you submitted onto Brightspace in order for you to continue with the next assignment, which I will give you next class, the class with the quiz. And after the quiz, after you're done with the quiz, that's when you can show it to me and we can check you off that you did it. Other than that, if you owe me any earlier assignments, please get those in as soon as quickly, like the cover letter, which is important because we'll be using that right after you do the blackgoose. You'll be using that information from the cover letter. Okay. Otherwise, let me know if there's any questions or problems, and send me email. And I'll see you next class.